Hey guys, it's Vernie here. We have the Season 3 recap posted by Raider.io, so we're going to go ahead and go through that in this video. And at the end, we will cover a little bit of the Mythic Plus sheet that I've been keeping track of, which was inspired by Metro. I think I talked about that either in Season 1 or Season 2. Definitely go give him a look on YouTube. But let's go ahead and look at it, just see what happened over Season 3, talk about it a little bit, any thoughts. Oh, starting with the specs. Throughout the season, you've grouped a total of 39 different specs, 39 in raids, and 39 in Mythic Plus. Got them all. Got them all. A billion Ret Paladins. Couldn't tell you why. It's not like it's an easy class with the legendary. XD. A lot of Ret Paladins, a lot of BM Hunters, a lot of Havoc Demon Hunters. There's a sense of theme here. There's a theme. Anyway, how many Affliction Warlocks? 15 Affliction Warlocks. 11 Marksman Hunters. Oof. Moving on, Gear Evolution. So here, the first week, November 14th, I had just re-rolled to the Paladin. Excuse me. We started at 459. Didn't really get any gear that first week, apart from Mythic Plus. I think I took 0 pieces in Raid because I was a healer, so it was 464 in week 2, and then big jump from week 2 to week 3. This is when I got a lot of like leftover gear, tier pieces, the KSM token, AOTC token, etc. So jump from 464 to 477, and then 481 by week 4. And then we kind of just slowly crept up week after week until we hit, 488 the last month or two of the season. And our biggest gear upgrade of the season was 48 item levels. This would have been on the Shadow Priest because my Paladin did not have this trinket, and my Paladin does not have a branch. So, Vessel of Searing Shadow, 441. This was an Aberrus heroic trinket, I think. And then either week 2 or week 3, I pulled a 489 branch from the vault. So it's pretty sick for the priest. The paladin, I don't even know what my biggest upgrade would be. I'm not sure. But moving on. Raid bosses defeated, 71 on mythic, 295 on heroic, and 116 on normal. Defeated 482 total raid bosses. So definitely not a lot of mythic this tier. Most of these kills are going to be for my paladin. I'd say 4 or 5 alt runs where we killed, between 2 to 4 bosses, but never more than that. Obviously, only 1 kill on Smolderon, 1 kill on Tindral, and 0 on Farok. So, 32 heroic Farok kills, though. We tried to get multiple legendaries. We only got one. The Paladin has one. I still haven't crafted it. I'll probably craft it first week of Season 4 just to say I did it. But the DK ended with, I think, 11 or 12 kills, and the Warrior had 6. Obviously, neither of them got it, but that's okay. You never forget your first time. Total live tracked pulls for your first boss kill. So, 4 kills for Mythic, or 4 pulls rather, for Mythic Gnarlroot. 24 for Agira. Our guild kind of struggled with spears on this one. I don't know why it was so hard, but we definitely wiped more than we should have there. 6 pulls for Volcaros. Pretty easy boss. Council of Dreams, this one also we struggled with. We had problems with healing. We had problems with some of the tanking. 46 pulls. It's not great. I think most guilds got it under 25, but different struggles for different groups. Laridar, 25 pulls. I feel like I'm missing a Night of Progression here because I don't think we killed it in 25 pulls, but I could check that later. That sounds wrong. 60 on Nimue. Nimue was not a fun one for us. A lot of shuffling with the ad groups in the back. People dying randomly. Smolderon, 155. This is where there's a huge step up in difficulty between Nimue and Smolderon, and it clearly shows here for our guild. I don't know. We had a lot of problems here. Tempers got pretty heated. Haha, XD joke. But we did pull through eventually. It was a struggle. Tindral was another one. 332 pulls. I feel like I also missed a night here. This sounds low. I think it was closer to 350. And we pulled in, I think, at least 7 or 8 new people between Smolderon and Tindral. Burnout was hitting pretty hard. A lot of guilds were disbanding, so Tindral's kind of ragtag. I was amazed we got that kill. And Farok, we ended with 420 pulls. The lowest we saw was 28%. We still had quite a ways to go, unfortunately. Just couldn't pull through. On the next tier, hopefully, some better endings. Raid progress duration. Normal killed in one reset. I mean, obviously, because it was normal. Heroic did over 2 raid resets. And Mythic, uncleared. Mythic key progression. So, end of the first week, we had some 19s done. That was Fortified Incorporeal Sanguine. Week 2, we start hitting 20s. That was Tyrannical Entangling Bursting. And then kind of just flatlined here. We got the rest of our portals for the next 3 weeks. By the end of the first month, we had a 22. And then we didn't really do much for a while. And then about a month after that, we started finally pushing towards 3K. This is where we got our 24s done. And then as you can see, slowly as we get towards the end, like middle to end of the season, we start petering off. This is mostly the garbage time for us. This is when we did a lot of alt keys. I'm going to spoil something, before I even read the sheet, but we did more than 700 keys this season. So this is a lot of the alt keys here. It's pretty much strictly 18s. Did a couple 20s here and there for some odd portals, but mostly 18s just to get the max vault for the alts. That rhymed. You're an Altaholic. You've run Mythic Plus on a total of 13 classes and 30 specs. Your most run spec, Holy Paladin. 66 runs. I mean, this makes sense. This is my main. I think the majority of this is probably done over the first 3 weeks, and after that, it was mostly Ret, 34 runs, and Prot, 18 runs, so Paladin had about 115 combined. Not too bad. Second, we have the Survival Hunter. This was our 0 to Keystone Hero we did. It was pretty easy. It took us 2.5 weeks. We didn't even get to the end of the third week. We blew it out of the water. It was not very hard. And then here you have like the characters that I started playing either the first or second week. The Discipline Priest with 50 keys, Blood DK 50 keys, Shaman 48 keys on Enhance, 10 on Resto, 43 Frost Mage, 20 Arcane. The Druid has like 70 keys between Bear and Guardian, or Bear and Resto. What specs did we not play? We have 1 Holy Priest key, 1 Demo Warlock, 1 Havoc. We don't have Fire Mage. We don't have MM Hunter. We don't have Assassination Rogue or Sub Rogue. Don't have Affliction Warlock. Don't have Arms Warrior. What else are we missing? Ellie Shaman. Didn't have an Ellie Shaman key. Funnily enough, that was our main season 1. Not a single key this season. All enhance. But interesting. Top Mythic Plus comp. Blood DK, Holy Paladin, Balanced Druid, Feral Druid, and Frost Mage. This has got to be the group that I did most of my keys with in the guild for the first month or so. These are all guildies that I recognize playing. Like I could name all these people who play these classes. Obviously, the Holy Paladin was me. How does this compare to the season's most popular comps? I sense a theme here. Resto Druid, BM Hunter, Havoc DH, and Ret Paladin. And the only thing that changed was one has a prop Paladin tank, and the others are Vengeance Demon Hunter. Pretty much describes the composition. I mean, I think Mistweaver and Disc Priest were creeping up there. I think Mistweaver is technically the best healer, but Resto Druid's still very popular, still very strong. And then obviously Vengeance and Prop Paladin are just ridiculous tanks right now. And that does not look to be changing going into next season. So I wouldn't expect this list to really move a lot. Most run dungeons. Our closest key was an 18 Darkheart Thicket with 12 seconds left. Not really that close. Fastest key was an 11 Everbloom. Finished with about 69% remaining. I mean, that's an 11. I must have been doing like a worm farm or something. I can't imagine anything else. And the most run dungeon, Blackrock Hold, as a surprise to absolutely no one. 112 runs in total, in time 98%. I think we had 1 deplete early on in the season here. But Blackrock Hold, Ataldazar, and Galacrons. Yeah, top 3. These are by far the easiest keys. These make sense to me. The lowest ones, Murzon's Rise and Throne. I was not a huge fan of Rise. Throne was okay. I don't know. I kind of avoided it on Fortified weeks. On Tyrannical weeks, it wasn't that bad, but I just did not enjoy pugging this dungeon, so when I'm banging out keys for the alts, I want something quick and fast that I know we can finish, so these 3 were it. IO score evolution. So it says I've run 686 dungeons. That doesn't count the abandons, because Raider IO only tracks keys that you complete. We actually have 707 total for the entire season, but we finished 686. So the first week we got to 1800, second week got to 2500, Keystone Hero, and then we slowly got, 27, 28. This is probably where we finished our portals, was around week 3 or 4. And then, week 8 or 9, I'm like, let's start getting to 3K. I've never been to 3K before. And then we went from 2880 to 3K over, 2.5 weeks. And then it kind of just sat there the rest of the season. Didn't really feel much of an interest in pushing forward. I also didn't have the legendary, so couldn't really play Ret. Didn't want to play Holy. Didn't really want to play Prot. No. Mythic Plus Buddies. During Season 3, you push keys with 1243 other characters. Your top 5, Adele, 79 runs together. This is the Prot tank in our guild. I think we did most of these in the first 2 months or so. Didn't really do too many keys together at the end of the season. Jimbo. This is our Warlock, or former Warlock. He's now not raiding. I think he's going to be back for Season 4, though. And then 2 of Trey's characters is Rogue and his Warrior. He plays a billion alts just like I do. I'm surprised he has this many. And then Empanada, one of our Warlocks, who also unfortunately quit. 46 runs together. And that's it for the recap. So let's go ahead and take a look at our little Mythic Plus sheet. So, cut straight to the good stuff. 707 keys done. It's on line 708, but the first line is just column titles. So, we've did 707 keys. I've got some assorted funny moments on here. Some gamer words are involved. I won't be reading all those off, but there's some funny stuff in here. The first week, it looks like we did 51 dungeons, which I think beats our record of 50 from Season 2. And I think, 30 of these probably on the Paladin? Probably about 30. Up to a 19. A lot of the same composition, as you can see, Blood DK. This has got to be like our tanks from the guild. Prot Warrior. This is all me as the Holy Paladin. And then mix of Boomkin, Feral, and then a Mage. Demo Mage, Hunter. Just had a mix of people. This is definitely mostly guildies. And then here, later on throughout the week, I started bringing in my alt characters. My Shaman, my Evoker, my Priest. I think my DK got a key the first week. Tank didn't use defensives ever. Didn't use Sigil of Silence. That's a funny little note. I won't read that word. DC'd after our third wipe. Yeah, that was an Everbloom. I remember healing that. And the tank... I have a weak aura that shows CDs, and he never used Demon Spikes. Seriously, I never saw it pop up. And I don't think I ever saw him cast a Sigil of Silence. He was just taking the dick. I guess he just did not know how to play Vengeance, because those are very important buttons. Tank pulling like an idiot. Bursting killed us once with 12 stacks. Nobody kicked in the courtyard with the Thornweavers. That was an abandoned key. What was I on for that? On my Paladin. Oof. Early Tyrannical. Not very fun. People aren't familiar with boss mechanics. It's very difficult. People get frustrated and leave. Which, by the way, early on, you should stay in a key. Unless there's no way you can complete it. If you wipe once or twice, you can still complete the key. You can still get gear. Who cares if you don't time it? Finish the key out the first few weeks. Anything else interesting? Mechanic fails on second boss. This is probably Galakron's Fall. This is just me lamenting about how difficult it was to heal. Wipes the second boss, very rough on healing. I think that's Everbloom. I really struggled healing the Holy Paladin on the Council boss on Everbloom. It was really hard unless you had really good kicks. Terrible tank, didn't use defensives. Single pulling tyrannical trash packs. I don't remember that at all. But we depleted a 16 Throne of the Tides. Oof. Keystone Hero. This is on key 78 of the season. Obviously not my Paladin's 78th key, just my 78th key overall. Can't dodge spiders. 10 minutes remain on the final boss. We wiped 4 times. Didn't finish that one. That was one of our first 20s. Oof. Yeah, Yasma was not a fun boss. Definitely a pug killer. People did not really understand the movement. I'm going to be honest. I didn't understand the movement for a long time. I still don't really understand it that well. It requires a really coordinated group, and if you can't do it, it is infinitely harder. Atoll, in theory, was like one of the easier keys, but definitely a lot of like pug traps. Again, Everbloom 20. Second boss, crazy for me to heal. No lust. I think we called that one. Yep, that was with the. I think that was in a guild group. Priest died twice to first boss cleave. Boomkin died to scythe. Everyone else died to cleave after phase 2. Wow, so this is a wipe in Blackrock Hold of all places and an abandon. That's crazy to not finish that because that's again one of the easier keys. But early on in the season, people just don't know and they get frustrated and quit after a wipe or two. Here's me finishing out my portals. Key 115, 116 of the season. And as you can see, I added this column here for an IO tracker. What I started with and what I ended with. Anything else interesting to go through? DH Tank went to 35 stacks on the tree boss, got one shot, left on his own. LMAO. Yeah, that was in a tyrannical Waycrest. And this guy was like, I think he was like 2800 pretty early, so he had good rating. And he just never dragged the boss to fire and just got one shot, like 100 to 0. And then he instantly left the key, and it was his key. It's like, okay, dude. Darkheart Thicket 21. Wiped on the tree, Evoker immediately DC'd. Quote unquote. You gotta love it. We wipe. Oh, I'm offline. I'm off. See ya, dude. This is probably my favorite of the season. Priest decides to prove a point and not dispel the entire dungeon because we had no hybrid DPS, even though we're a full guild group. Whispered that animal, and I put his name. So this was a Galcron's Fall 18, and I was tanking it as a prop paladin. We had a Disc Priest as the healer, and then the other three are non-dispelling DPS, so Outlaw Rogue, Demo Warlock, Fury Warrior. It was Afflicted Week. Yes, it is nice to have hybrid DPS to dispel. You do not need them. If you are fast, a single person can get both. Priests could actually very easily get both with Dispel combined with Power Word Life, which if you cast it on the Afflicted would pretty much heal it, either to full if you crit or to like 95% if you didn't, which means you would need to do one other heal to it and it would be good. But also, I'm a prop paladin. I can Dispel, which I did. I can Wog, which I did. By the end of the dungeon, I think I had like 30-something Dispels, and the Priest had like 4. And this is in Galakron's Fall, where the trash and bosses require Dispels, as well as the affix. So basically, at the end of the key, even though we timed it, he decided to type some shit in chat about how he was teaching us a lesson by not dispelling and that we needed to invite hybrid DPS, even though we clearly finished the key and I was clearly doing the affix. He just, I guess he was upset. It's like, dude, we're a full guild group. I know that I, as the tank, can handle the affix. I just need the healer to contribute somewhat. And when he said, I'm trying to teach you guys a lesson, I got super tilted. I whispered the guy. I actually got silenced for like 4 or 5 days. Wouldn't recommend doing that. It was pretty funny. Fuck that guy. Honestly, would probably do it again if some guy pissed me off enough. So, really funny. If I ever see him in Group Finder, his group is toast. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Ridiculously hard to heal. Hard struggled. Called it at 1 a.m. 24 Galakron's Fall Tyrannical. Yeah, this is like when I was just trying to get into 24 so I could get to 3K. And we did not really plan defensive super well, and this was incredibly hard for me to heal. Probably the first like real wall I've experienced. Like 20s, I could see myself. Oh, I just need more gear. 24, I don't think any amount of gear would have changed anything here. I was already like 487 item level. This is just like where I really ran into a wall and said, "Wow, Holy Paladin is pretty tough to heal without good coordination here." So those hurt. We have a 24 Atoll Abandon. Left side pull path. Terrible healer. Tank was pretty bad. 30 deaths before calling it. I think. So he tried to go left side first, which is like infamous for bricking bad groups because there's a lot of interrupts, and if you don't kick the mantle cast from the confessors, it puts a bubble around all the mobs, which make them immune to spellcasting interrupts. And so then the augurs, which cast the fireballs and the wildfire enchant, go fucking crazy and start railing your group, and there's nothing you can do about it because they can't be kicked. And this tank pulled them very awkwardly together and then didn't Sigil of Silence, and so we were just getting destroyed by casts. And I remember that we made it to. I don't think we even made it to the third boss. We killed Razan, then we did Priestess, and then we went to. I don't even remember the guy's name, the big abomination guy, the troll berserker on the right side. And we didn't even make it there. We disbanded before making it there. Mm, I mean, that's really all I have to say. I guess there's this one down here. This was a key where we had a 485 3K Shadow Priest who did less damage than my 450 Warlock with no tier. And that was another one where I whispered the guy. I was just like, dude, are you playing your character? Do you know what you're doing? And he goes, oh, you caught me on a bad night. I had the wrong gear and trinkets on and the wrong spec. It's like, nope. I know what Shadow Priest play. You have BIS trinkets and you're playing the right spec. You're just bad. How did you get 3K rating? I go look up his Raider IO. He's very clearly bought runs. He went from like 12s to 20s and then from 20s to 25s in the span of a week. It's like, that's not sussy at all. No, this was a bad night. Like, no, it wasn't, dude. You're just not playing the game. You're getting carried. Just accept it. Very odd behavior. And then lastly, we'll just like briefly glance at my zero to Keystone hero for my hunter. We did this pretty late in the season. We achieved it in 3 weeks, about 2.5 weeks actually. We only like 7 or 8 keys on the third week. So the first week we did what 17 keys. We started at 433 item level, and by the end of that first week, I think we were what 447, 448. And then early on in the second week, this is after our vault, we've used some crests and we've crafted some items. We're 461. And then this week we did how many keys? Like another 18? Oops, that's the wrong tab. And we went from 460 to 471. And then we went from 471 to 474 on the third week. And that's where we got Keystone Hero. Took us 26 keys to get KSM and 42 keys to get Keystone Hero. So honestly, not bad. This season felt. I guess we'll just end with my overall thoughts. This season felt pretty good. There are a lot of people who were overgeared, and because 18s are more accessible than 20s, really geared characters were just banging out 18s for vaults. It was super easy to get alts into these keys and get gear. And obviously, if you do, 18s for 10 weeks, you suddenly have 10 pieces of myth gear, potentially, which is a lot for alts. And so it was very easy to, very slowly upgrade those characters. I think all 5 or 6 characters that I played every week, the Shaman, the Evoker, the Priest, the DK, the Druid, they all ended up at 485, 486, 487 by the end of the season. Just because, just by virtue of having done at least one key, and I think I did up to 4 most weeks. But yeah, one key a week will take you really far, as long as you're a little dedicated. Spend 20 minutes a week doing one key. But that's going to be it for me. We will be streaming Season 4, obviously. I think I've talked about it a little bit. We'll be playing Holy Paladin in one guild, and then potentially either Enhancement Shaman or Mage in the second one. So we'll go ahead and, if you see this tomorrow, you'll catch me on stream, hopefully, twitch.tv/Veronix. If not, I'll be streaming most of the week. Can't say how, in depth I'm going to get into Season 4. It really depends on how much I'm enjoying it. I'm not super excited, as a lot of other people are not, because it's just the returning raids with no special affix, and the dungeons with no special affix, and we've already done all the Dragonflight dungeons, so the hype for that is kind of fizzled, but we will still stream when we feel like it. So feel free to check us out then, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.